This thing on. Time to get this show started. All right, hello everyone. Welcome. Welcome to all the future people who might watch this. And hope your week's going well. What is it, Monday? Yes, I legitimately forgot for a moment. It's the end of Monday. August 19th. School is back in sesh for all the kiddos out there. And it's just another day in paradise for the rest of us. So what I have in front of me, what I'm going to be working on tonight is a continuation of my tower defense game in GDevelop. Excuse me. Getting over a cough still. And that's going to annoy a lot of people. But I am looking for a couple of sprites for probably a lightning ability. And so I'm just doing a quick search here. It's basically it's going to be for a lightning tower, and I didn't actually put a lightning tower in. This could also be for my holy tower. So if I actually go to my sort of game development document here, it could fall under this tower, the holy tower. And so under this holy tower, I'm going to do something. Gosh, sorry. It's going to be akin to the Diablo 2 Fist of the Heavens. So I'm going to borrow that generic concept. And see if I can kind of work this into the tower. And so what it is essentially, I guess I could just show it. I'm sure anyone watching this is probably familiar with it, but Diablo 2 Fist of the Heavens. So a lightning shoots down, and then it so it goes upward and then strikes downward on the enemy. Let's see, pull up a Mr. Llama video here. And see if I can get him to actually use it. So right here, let me put this in slow-mo and maybe a higher quality. So if I play this at half speed, we'll see that it's shooting down and it's glitching out like crazy right now. Let me lower the quality. So it shoots down onto the enemy, and then once it strikes, it shoots out a series of these holy bolts. Like that. And so that's a rough example of what I'm going to aim for. So that being said, I need to maybe find a sprite that will meet my needs here. Searching. I'm not even sure what the best search is. Maybe like, depends. A bolt could be a physical bolt. Beam. Let's see. Really gonna have to try to narrow this down. It's probably 2D. Although 3D could work technically. And I don't care about the software so much. I'm going to start with free. And format, preferably PNG. Let's see what it can do. It does not like that at all. Let's search lightning. So this is actually relatively similar to what I'm thinking about. So it kind of depends. Let me see. Is there a GIF? So here is this thing. It looks like it could work. It's kind of hard to tell the placement, though. It looks like it just kind of exists in the same spot. It's free, though. I mean, I can download it and see how it looks. Not loving it. It's decent for what it is. I'm not sure how well it really fits my overall look. But let's see, that's free. So let me, I guess, go to the cart, download. And I recently bought some explosions from this website on Game Dev Market. I bought this explosions pack from... Who did I buy it from? Caster Studios. Pretty decent explosion pack there. Semi-realistic visuals, which are kind of what my style is for the game. It's 2D, but using a lot of like 2D versions of 3D assets. So I'm gonna put this into my assets folder and play around with it. Let me unzip it here. All right. Let me see what this looks like. So if I open this up, that almost looks like vector, like it was originally vector art. It's very clean. But it looks like in order for this to work, because it's just kind of hovering there, it might work. I keep saying that. Let me see how it looks. I'll just put it into the game. That's really the best way to tell, instead of trying to guess. So let me add sprite. I'm going to call it Fist of Heavens. I will import images. And thanks to the recent update in GDevelop, it's super easy to put in all those files. I was waiting for that update for a long time. Previously, you had to manually select them all. So let's preview right here. So that's what it does. Let's replay that. It would be quite a bit smaller, so realistically, I need to zoom way out. So I think maybe if I speed it up, it would work. Reduce the amount of time between frames. It should be like pretty instantaneous. Replay that. I think it'll work as a placeholder. So as a placeholder, I'm going to put it in, and maybe later I will just change the sprites out. But I think it'll work. Let me edit the points. I'm going to put the center at about where I want the origin point as well. So we'll say 227, 457. Like so. And close. And let's see. Now if I open this up in the editor, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let's just test it. So if I drop that in, how big? It's pretty big, so it's going to need to be scaled down. And so let's see what excuse me. Let's see what it looks like at the start. It's fine. So let's code it in with our non-code engine here. Yeah, certainly hope everyone's been having a good week so far. Wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, if you're going through anything difficult right now, hang in there. My heart goes out to you. I guess I'm looking for my holy tower. Because weirdly, I was looking at different element types for the game, and I've only selected 8 tower types to start out with. Obviously, I could just continue to add them into the game, but there's one per button here. And so I've got Arcane, Blood, Fire, Holy, Earth, and then I did Water and Ice. Those could really be combined if I wanted to. And then the Moon. So it's not like any kind of, like, it's not really textbook elements. It's more like just abilities, ability types. But that being said, I just picked these because I had some specific abilities I wanted to do. So for that reason, I didn't put in a lightning tower, but I think lightning can kind of fit in with holy. Lightning does fall from the heavens. I mean, I guess, asteroids do too, but lightning, I don't know. I'm just going to go with it. Maybe later I'll add like a specific lightning tower as well. It's really not that challenging to add more in. Just got to get a baseline of towers in there, make sure it's all functional, make sure the UI is working, get the damage types working. So right now, actually, let me pull that back up because I have a decision to make. Maybe it's less of a decision, but whenever I select my holy tower, it's currently shooting a holy beam at, it's just beaming down a single target with super high damage. I currently told it not to kill things so that I can continue to test it, but progressively high increasing damage on a single target. And so separately, if it's not doing that, it would separately initiate a Fist of the Heavens type of attack. So I will need to temporarily disable that beam while we're testing out this other thing. All right. Where are we? So whenever the yellow button is clicked, it turns into the Holy Tower, which honestly is placeholder images. It doesn't look like anything fancy whatsoever. It says I'm changing the tint of the tower head. I don't know. I'll probably replace it with like some kind of fantasy holy symbol. Not necessarily like a crucifix. I don't necessarily need it to be tied to an actual Earth religion, but just something that looks, I guess, holy. The crucifix was a Roman torture device. And it's quite possible they more often looked more like a capital T rather than the lowercase t that we often see like on necklaces and stuff, because they would just put a beam on top of another. It's true, okay? I saw it on the Discovery Channel. Leave me alone. And actually I read it in a book. All right. Sorry, man. I am trying to focus here. It's been a long Monday. I'm just happy to be here. So we're just going to be happy to be here. The variable holy has light of enemies is false. Okay. So if the number of Towerhead Holy on the scene. So what I need to do is this whole set of events is for that Holy Beam. I actually need to move these events into a sub-event. So let me move that up here. This here is my damage line. It's currently set to a 1/4 point of damage per frame, which I don't remember exactly how many frames we're talking, but it's at least 20. I gotta find out now. I should know this. GDevelop number of acts. Frames. I'm not talking frames per second though. I'm talking about number of cycles, right? All right, I'll figure that out later. I don't want to bore everyone. So yeah, let me move these down here. It's actually just 2 little actions, paste, and then I will disable that, and disable that, and disable that. So this is, let me add a little comment in here. This is for Holy Beam. And then down below, let's add another sub, actually just a regular bit, and then add another comment. This will be Fist of Heavens. And all right, how are we going to start this off? So it's going to find the enemy that's probably nearest to the end goal, which is called the end, which it's already doing that search right here. And then it's going to decide, it's probably going to be a timer of the tower itself. And so whenever the tower is created, and assuming it's been selected for the Fist of Heavens ability, then it will start the countdown, and maybe it's going to shoot one of these off, like say every 4 seconds. And so let's get that started. So let's see, how do we want to get that started? We'll need to start the timer actually whenever the yellow button is clicked, which is right here. So we need to let me add an event right here and add a comment. Timer for Fist of Heavens. And add condition later. So we're just going to do timer. We will start or reset an object timer of the tower head holy. The timer's name will be, I'll just call it Fist timer. Fist timer, looks like first timer. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go down to where we actually create the thing. So this will already tie back to the enemy that is selected. And so the condition will be if that timer that we just started Tower head holy, timer's name, there's only one, the fist timer, is greater than or equal to, and we'll just say 4 seconds arbitrarily. Then we want to create a Fist of the Heavens object. At position, enemies dot center X. Not sure why I stalled when I was saying that. It's very common. Center Y. On the base layer. Okay. I'm probably going to need to scale that down. So let me drag one out and see how big it is. It's ginormous. Why is it so big? I'm going to need to like edit some of this extra transparent space. I would say, what was that? Let me look at the editor here. So it is 512 by 512. So I'm not going to scale it down here, but I can scale it down programmatically. So 512, what would be a quarter of that? So 128, I should know that. Let's try that. So let me go to the Fist of the Heavens object. We will scale and set that at 0.25 and hit OK. And then, so let's just get that started. And then once I get that in, I'm going to also add in the holy bolts that are going to shoot out from the enemy. Which will be later. So let's see. And then from here I need to start or reset the timer so that it can continue. Timer of the tower. The only timer on there. Surprised that's the only timer I've put on there. And then let's see. Yeah, so let's test this. It should be working. Said every developer ever, and it never happens. I forgot to delete that initial one. That's not part of it. Ignore that. And cheers, everyone. Here's to hoping this works the first time. Okay, so it is working, but it's a little odd, right? So it should be targeting the one nearest to the end, which it seems to be. I think I saw it had some odd targeting like that one right there, but which is really odd. It's like it's delayed. I think it's picking the target and then it's counting like the 4 seconds. So I think I have a workaround for that. Let me target that bug first. And so this is going to be the Fist of the Heavens style attack, like from Diablo 2. I'm just kind of borrowing the concept and seeing if I can get it to look decent. So what's happening is it's picking the enemy that's nearest to the target, to the end. And then it's counting the 4 seconds. And that's why it appears to not be targeting the first enemy, even though it is. But it looks off and it's kind of missing. So I need it to do the 4 seconds and then pick another enemy. So this might have to be... It will still be under this repeat for each instance of the Holy Tower, but I think I actually need to split some of this stuff off into a sub-event. So I'm going to do that. So add the sub event and just do a little housekeeping here. Put this right here. The picking of the enemy will go here, and then I'll want to drag this inward. Drag this inward. Let's see. Create. Sometimes these comments, I don't know why it does this, but it's a little finicky about being able to move stuff in. So I'm just going to delete the comment. It throws a fit sometimes. So all of these will be a child of the selection of the nearest enemy. But the Fist of the Heavens needs to be a child of the repeat for each instance of the tower type. And then after it does the 4 seconds, then it will pick the nearest, excuse me, the nearest enemy. So let me copy that event and I'll put it down below. Sub event here, paste, and then I will move these events here. Yes, this should do the trick. And it seems to also, I know what I can do, because it seems to also kind of linger. So I guess I'm going to fix 2 kind of bugs in one here. And hopefully it looks much more decent. I'm going to add a sticker behavior. So when it creates, it is going to basically track with the enemy so that it doesn't seem to just stay behind. So the Fist of the Heavens, we will stick to the enemies and hit OK. And I think the scale was probably fine. Let's test this out. Hopefully it's hold on, let me delete this annoying one. Let's see what we've got here. All right, let's see. Is it? Yeah, so now it seems to be hitting exactly dead on. Well, except for that one. Why did it pick that one? It is exactly on the enemies. The targeting of like which enemy it's picking seems off, but it definitely looks better. And I also need to delete the objects after they're done. So let me come in here. I'll start with that. I might even be okay with it selecting at random. You know, that's kind of an attribute of, well, it's seemingly an attribute of electricity. You never know where lightning is going to strike. So that's not the worst thing. Maybe that's like a bug that I'm okay with, but I'm not okay with it not deleting the objects. So I will need to do an event that is all by itself. I will say for the Fist of the Heavens objects, let's find how many are on the scene. And if there are more than 0, then let me add a comment here as well. Delete Fist of Heavens objects. So if there are more than 0, we're going to select a for each object, select the object, and if the animation has ended, then delete it. Shocking, I know. So Let's run this along with the console and see if they're actually deleting. So what I'm going to do is over here on the side, I'm going to scroll down and see how many instances are on the scene. And as you can see at the bottom here, if you can read that, there are 0. So let's put one down here and call in the enemies, and I'll just refresh this panel over here. So whenever it shocks, so there should be 1. Okay, there it goes. It was having some trouble updating, but no, that's odd. It's actually saying there are some enemies out there that are not finding their path. It's very odd, but they are finding the path. But if I refresh this in terms of the number of lightning objects on the scene, it is successfully deleting them. So like right now there's 1. And then when that goes away, there are 0. So that part is working. I am losing performance because it seems like they're not finding a path even though they are on the path. Let me scroll up to the enemies. See how many, because we see 3 on the screen, but are there any more not within the scene? Where are they? There are 3 medium enemies, which is what these guys are. And enemy basic medium. I basically need a way, because I guess they're not lost. I guess I need to find a way to disable looking for additional paths once they've successfully found a path. So I guess this is something I need to learn. That's really interesting. I've never really noticed this issue, but that's very intensive on the system. And if I were to pull my FPS tracker up here, it would look pretty bad. But all right, back to Fists of the Heavens. We've got the lightning. So now all we really need is probably right here where the animation is ending. When it ends, we're going to do something that looks kind of like this. And I'll show you. Kind of like this. And that's the actual sound effect. So it's going to shoot out, not nearly as many as that, but same concept, and they're going to be basically holy bolts. So balls of light. Great balls of light. And I don't really have an object for that. So at the moment, I'm just going to put in a little circle and put a light behind it. What size? This is 64 by 64. Let's just start with this and see how it looks. They don't need to be giant. And let me change the color. Something like that. And I will fill it. Maybe even give it a white dot right at the center. Let me make this bigger. Let me see here. 32 by 32. Something like that. All right, so I'll call it Holy Bolt. This is just groundbreaking, people. Groundbreaking. Have you ever seen such pixel art? So let me edit the points here. Let me drag the origin to the center, 32 by 32, and close that. And the collision mask is fine, and apply. Let me add a 2D effect, since just to make up for my pixel art here. And I'm going to add a glow, and that color is actually what I want. So let's do the glow, and then I will obviously need to add Holy Bolt. Obviously add a light behind it so that it actually pops on the screen. So let me pull in a light. And is that white? White should be fine. If I need anything different, I can add that later. So this will be the Holy Bolt light. Let's make the radius about 75. And apply. And so now I'm just going to go into my events here. And so whenever this happens, excuse me. Let's see here. Okay, whenever the animation is finished, delete Fist of Heavens. So actually right before the Fist of the Heavens sprite is deleted, this is where we want to add the Holy Bolt. And so create it at Fist of Heavens X. And Fist of Heavens Y. And so that will be on the base layer. Hit OK on that. And hopefully this looks all right. The alternative is to center it on the enemy. But we'll see how it looks. And I could even create a unique point on the Fist of the Heavens object, but I think it'll be fine because the origin point on the Fist of Heavens object will itself be on the enemy center. So this should work. Again, said every developer ever. Famous last words. Let's similarly add in that light right there. And let's actually put that one on the light layer. It just looks better. And I need to make those sticky. Wait, do I? I do. I need to stick the light to the Holy Bolt. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I don't want to take this exact approach, but let me add the sticker behavior, and I'll show you why. Okay. So, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I think I need to turn the Fist of the Heavens into an object that can shoot bullets. Fire bullets. Unlimited ammo. Number of bullets to be created at once. And this would obviously be the type of thing that the player can upgrade throughout the game. But, you know, for testing purposes, we want it to look awesome. So let's start with, like, say, 30 bullets. And the bullet will be the Holy Bolt. So let's see what we have here. Yeah, unlimited ammo. Fired 30 at a time. The firing arc will be 360, so a circle. And since it's only firing once, overheating doesn't matter. Reloading doesn't matter. Don't care if it says reload automatically or not. And I shouldn't care about the bullet rotation, but I'll tell it to rotate to match the trajectory. And hit apply. So now, yeah, instead of saying create, that's actually a very manual way to approach this. I'm actually going to tell it I'll say fist of heavens, fire bullets, and I'll say toward a position. Let me see if this, make sure I get this right. Where to create the bullet will be at the fist of the heavens dot X and fist of the heavens dot Y. The bullet object will be the holy bolt. And the target position. Now this is where it's a little funny. I'm pretty sure I can just tell it any old number. So arbitrarily I'll tell it 0, 0. But since it's firing in an arc of 360, it's a whole circle. So one bullet will be aiming at 0, 0, but the rest are going to be in equal distances. You know what I'm trying to say here. It's going to make a circle of them. The speed, we will set that to, let's just say, I don't know. We'll start that out. Start the bidding at 300. And then there's another thing I need to attach to these, which is destroy when outside of the screen. And we'll give it a margin of 100 and hit apply. And then the holy bolt light should delete itself, but just for just for safety, I'm going to add the destroy behavior to it as well. And apply. And then I need to I actually need to create the light manually, so I should have left that there. So holy bolt light, create that position. Actually, let me think. Let me go up. I think I need to do this differently than I'm remembering, but I just did it right here. So for the, like, for example, with that leaf effect. So fire the leaves, put them on the base layer, change the scale. And then, yeah, repeat for each instance of the bullet. Then I create the object and stick it. So that's what I need to do here. No point in reinventing anything here. So let me actually grab these events. And I will paste that right here. We got a comment here, and so right here, what I've just pasted, actually, where did it go? Here it is. Pull that up here. So if the number, pull that out. I don't care about the leaf here. I care about the holy bolts. So if the number of holy bolts living on the scene is this much, so if the number of holy bolts living on the scene is greater than 0, then repeat for each instance of the holy bolt. And then I need to give it a variable, and I'll call it has light. That will be a Boolean, started out as false. If the variable is false, then we will change the variable has light of holy bolt to true. And let me delete this middle thing, and then we'll create the holy bolt light. And stick the holy bolt light to the holy bolt itself. And take a shot for every time I say holy bolt. Put that at the center. Sometimes reading your script out loud is really repetitive. You start to read the variable name over and over until it doesn't even sound like a word anymore. Okay, let's see what kind of mess we have made here. We're going to fire this up. See what kind of bugs we get. So again, it should drop down from above the enemy and then shoot out those holy bolts. So here we go. Every 4 seconds, it'll shoot one out. There's the lightning, and there are the 30 holy bolts, which are way too big. So I need to scale those down. But it is technically working. There almost seems to be a delay. So to make it look nice and tight, I'm going to do a couple of things. And so let me, first of all, I need to scale those because that is ridiculous. Create the object, and then for the holy bolt scale, we'll tell it to scale the F down. So let's just say by scale it to 0.5. See how that looks. Then, it does seem to need some speed. So let me go back to the Fist of the Heavens object, which has the shooting behavior, and we'll give it, actually no, it's not here, it's in the event. So right here, with a speed of 300, let's bump that way up to say 600, and then let's see, what else was it? It looked a little slow, right? So almost like it was behind where the lightning bolt would have been. So repeat for each instance of holy bolt. Oh, right here. That's an error. And then change the variable. So let's see how that looks for starters. It's working pretty well. Almost there. Send in the next wave. Here comes the lightning. And then boom. Looks quite a bit better. 700 might even be too fast. But, I mean, it's pretty mighty. Maybe even shrink them down quite a bit. They're so big. And visually, I think it's working. I think it's working, people. Let's modify the scale a bit. Let's go another quarter down and see how that looks. Maybe... Yeah, okay. Well, let's just test that. I've got to add some really cool sound effects to this one. All right, here we go. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the holy bolts, and I don't even know if I'll ever change those. I feel like a simple little sphere like that works with the light behind it, but I think I need to add an initial light for that, because there's no light. There's a lightning bolt sprite, but there's no light with it, and it's kind of blue, so I might even change the tint. I don't know. But regardless, let me add a light for that one. So it's going to be very much like this holy bolt light. So I'll just duplicate that, and I'll just call it Fist of the Heavens light, if I can spell. And let's keep the color. Let's see, radius. Let's put the radius at 100. I'll change the color to a slight tint of like a light blue. Close to white. Just a hint of blue. And let's see how that looks. And all we're going to do is wherever the... Actually, let me look at the sprite real quick. Rip Guy, how you doing this evening? Hello. And... okay, going into the Fist of the Heavens sprite. I'm gonna add a point. So here is what it looks like, right? So I've got all my frames, and it grows to this size. It starts at the bottom, but I want to center the light somewhere here in the middle. And hopefully, let me double check something here. So it grows really quickly. So I think by frame 1, after frame 0, it goes to frame 1. So I'm gonna add a point on the vertical center here, and that's where I'm going to put the light. So I'm going to call it light point. Let's see how that looks. Something like that. Maybe slightly down toward where the enemy will be. It's kind of hard to tell at the moment, because I know it's going to get to those transparent frames, and I'm a little concerned about how it's going to look once it hits that point. I might just end up deleting some of these. They're a little problematic for me, but that should be fine. And so let's see, where do we create it? Create the Fist of the Heavens, and there should only be, every time it does this, there should only be one. It should be a 1-to-1 ratio, as opposed to these, 30 holy bolts shooting out. So I can simultaneously create the Fist of the Heavens light at exactly at that point that we just created. So that would be Fist of the Heavens dot that position. Well, what is it? Let me go back and look. Yeah, it's called light point. Why is it not finding it? What am I missing here? Create object, Fist of the Heavens light at position. Let's go to Fist of Heavens dot. So center X dot. It should give me the light point. Let me just make sure I get the spelling right. It's being a little funny, or maybe I am. Light underscore point. I'll just copy that. It thinks it's a variable. Okay, well, we don't have to do that exactly. Let's just do the center X. That'll be fine. And so Fist of the Heavens, center Y. Now that is going to create the Fist of the Heavens light under the sprite animation, and I just need to stick that to itself. So pull that up, we'll stick the light so that it moves along for the short amount of time that it exists. And hit OK. And that should also automatically have the destroy behavior. So hit apply. And let's test this. Should work. So place our holy tower down somewhere. Call in the enemies, and every 4 seconds it should create a Fist of the Heavens effect on the nearest enemy. There it goes. One thing I forgot to do, though, is to put that Heaven's light on the lighting layer, which looks significantly better. So let's run that again. This time it's going to look pretty good. All right, here we go. Boom, boom. Shake the room. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, those holy bolts would go out and do some damage to, nearby enemies. I might even slow them down. I don't know. Could slow that down. It's at 700 pixels per second on a 720 by 1280 screen. Actually, it's at 600. Let's drop it down to 500. And, if we wanted to get really fancy, we could even add like a little particles emitter to every single one of those. Let's see if we could just do that real quickly here. So this is like being extra. Let's do... Doesn't really matter too much. Let's try sparks. I'm a pretty big fan of the base image that it uses. And yeah, let's just leave it as is pretty much, except I'm going to turn the spray cone angle to 360. It can still have an infinite number of particles in there. It's just going to destroy whenever the holy bolt itself is destroyed. But I'm going to drop the flow of particles way down to maybe 100 per second. I just don't want to, since there will be so many at a time, one of these per holy bolt. And let's see, I have the sparks growing in size. I'll probably have them just stay the same size, so 50-50. And just to test this out, first of all, I need to rename that. This will be Fist of Heaven's Particle. Drag that out here, and let's just see what it looks like for starters. All right, so that's what it looks like all by itself. Of course, it's going to be behind an object with a light, so it will pop a little more. It's shooting out way too far, and I think the particle size is too large. So everything needs to be brought down here. So I'm going to bring the particle amount down to, I don't know, maybe even 30. The emitter force, let's drop that down to, say, 50 to 80 emitter force. The lifetime is 0.2 to 0.5. Let's say 0.2 to 0.3. Let's see. A third of a second. Yeah, these things are going to be moving so fast. I think longer than that would just be lingering. So particle start size, let's drop that down even as well too. Let's try 30. Maybe like 30 to 20. Slightly decreasing in size. Don't really care too much about the rotation speed. Now hit apply, and let's take a look at that before we actually stick it onto the holy bolts. And okay, it's maybe a little too small. Slightly too small now. Let's go too small in terms of how far they're shooting out. So let's actually start that at about 70 to, let's try 90. And we'll do particle start size of 40 to 40. 40 to 30, something like that. And let's just go ahead and implement this thing. This needs to be sticky, of course. So we will stick that to the holy bolts and destroy whenever the holy bolt itself is destroyed. So that will automatically manage the garbage management for it. And let's see. For each instance of the Holy Bolt, we're creating the light. So we'll just add it right here. Very similar to that. So we'll do Holy Bolt. Hold on, what did I name it? No, Fist of the Heavens particle. Probably should have named it Holy Bolt particle. So let me update that real quick. Holy Bolt particle. It's more specifically on the Holy Bolt rather than the Fist of the Heavens, which comes before it. So right here, here it is. Add the particle at position Holy Bolt dot center X and Y on the position on the layer. We'll just put it on the base layer. Let's put that. No, actually that's fine. I might need to change the Z order because it's probably going to appear on top of it, but we'll see how it looks. It might not even matter. And we need to stick it to the man so that it follows the Holy Bolt. And test. Okay, we saw the test one right there, but okay, so it is working. I mean, so for each one of these Holy Bolts, there is a little particles emitter. So I mean, that's that. It's bugging me having this other one left on the scene. What else do we need from this? Let's QA this a little bit. And let's see, what time do I have here? How long have I been going? Yeah, I'm gonna finish this out, and I'll probably be able to call this a stream at that point. So let's just fine tune this. Call in the next wave, and so it shoots the lightning bolt, and it's looking decent. Could use a little more light at the top, but it's definitely calling attention to the point at which it strikes the enemy, which is good. And then, of course, it's shooting all of these out, and they have some little particles coming out of them, which gives it just a little more life. Nothing too crazy. I'm not going to implement the damage just yet. That's pretty easy to do. But specifically, it's because I might want it to damage only specific enemy types. And kind of like this one here. It's like if those were damaging the enemies, or even like this tower here, it would just obliterate everything. So for that reason, it's kind of annoying in terms of play testing. But yeah, so let's start the level over, and then just to celebrate our little Fist of the Heavens ability here, let's put a bunch of towers down. I need to fix some of the barriers for the player tower placement. And send in the troops. Should be getting a lot of Fist of the Heavens abilities. This is actually interesting. Actually, this brings something to my attention right now, because it seems like I don't necessarily want the same enemy to be simultaneously hit by one of these abilities. It seems like it'd be more lucrative for the for it to target maybe the next enemy behind it. So because right there you saw it was like sending 5 of them onto one enemy. It's kind of weird. So I'm going to add a variable onto the enemies groups, which fortunately is easy to do now that GDevelop updated recently. So if I go to the enemies groups, I can edit the group, add a variable to the entire group, and let me see, do I want that one? Enemy backers. What are we targeting here? We're targeting enemies. So we will use the enemies groups. Edit the group, add a variable. It will be called Fist of Heavens targeted as a Boolean. Started out with false. Hit apply, and then anytime the enemy is targeted with a Fist of the Heavens ability, that will be set to true. So enemies, actually what do I need? Variable. Change variable value of the object, enemies. The variable is the Fist of the Heavens targeted. Set that to true. Okay. And then I'm pretty sure I need to start an object timer as well. Probably just like a second. So let's do a timer for an object. The object is, of course, enemies. And it will be called, I guess, Fist timer. No, I already did that somewhere, didn't I? Fist targeted. Something like that. I run into trouble when I have similar naming conventions, but so Fist targeted of the enemies will be started. Then I will need to go up to, oh, yeah, pick the enemy that is nearest to the tower. I need to also check for the condition of that variable. This could be problematic depending on how I implement this, because if I tell it to pick the enemy that's nearest to the end or nearest to the tower, then if I tell it to also pick the enemy that is selected, let's play this out. So with this Fist of the Heavens ability, pop that down, call them in. So right here, that one, that variable should now be set to true. Actually, it will be set to true, not under the current implementation, but let me refresh the console here. And then if I scroll down, so we have one Fist of the Heavens out on the scene, and then the enemy right here it has a timer started. Yeah, enemy basic right here. So it has a timer started, and yeah, it's running, it's not paused. But if we have multiple holy towers out here, right, then they're going to start targeting the furthest enemy. Okay, so at the moment they're targeting the enemies nearest to themselves, which is probably good. Maybe what I could do though, instead of bothering with that approach, I could also go with the actual random approach and tell it to target a random enemy on the scene. I'm not sure how much if that would be more fun or less fun for the player. I think we can go with random. So instead of saying pick enemies that are nearest to the tower, we could also say, let me see, how do I find it here? Enemies. Let's see, random. Pick a random object. Hit OK. Let's test this out. Let me add a sub event, move this other condition below and disable it. And so now let's see how it works. Picking the random enemy. I will move that down as well. Maybe we don't need it. Yeah, let's move that down as well. So let's see how the randomization looks. If it's pretty decent, then we might not need to bother with toggling that Boolean. Let's add a couple of these, or actually several of these. We'll try 3. And here we go. So for a while, they'll probably try to target different ones. So there's 2. All right, yeah, we got 3 different ones at the same time. So I'm pretty sure that is random. And then there, it's definitely a bit laggy, but I think it's because of some other things going on behind the scenes. It's probably not too related to this, although it could be. And I might need to take those particles emitters off, but it's looking decent, people. It's looking decent. Not too bad for however long I've been streaming here, but there's another ability. So now the full might of that little holy tower, if I go re-enable the holy beam, if I re-enable that, we now have 2 abilities for that tower. We had none about a week ago. And let's combine these. They're not going to kill the enemies off at the moment just because I'm not interested in that. I just want to see the abilities working. The damage is not too bad. So now they're each going to shoot a beam at the enemy nearest itself. Later I'll make that toggleable by the player so that player can say target either the enemy nearest to the tower or nearest to the end, which would be at the end of the path. Anyways, so here we go. Oh, actually I have the damage enabled, which let's disable that so we can actually watch the show. It'd be like going to a fireworks show and then they hit a bird and decide to stop the show immediately. All right, here we go. Holy, holy, holy. Pretty sure that's a song. All right, here we go. We've got the Fists of the Heavens going on. We've got the Holy Bolts going on. They are functioning. The FPS is definitely killed whenever it spawns those Holy Bolts. So maybe I need to not spawn the particle emitters. Let me try taking that back off. Where'd it go? Let me just temporarily pull those off. See if that fixes the lag. If it does, then I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Or maybe later I'll severely decrease the number of particles, if I can say the word, coming off of it. So let's run this again and see our Holy Beams and Fists of the Heaven / Holy Bolts in action. And if I don't find any more immediate problems, then we will call this a successful stream. Here we go. Again, with the beams targeting nearest, and with the Fist of the Heavens targeting randoms. and call in some more enemies here. Still getting some lag on the holy bolts. But I imagine, because right now each single ability is spawning 30 holy bolts. I imagine that's going to be like on the upper end of the scale. It'll probably start off with like, I don't know, 4, something like that. And then over time, the player can upgrade that. So we're probably looking at like the end result, you know, end game level Fists of the Heavens. Not that I want it to lag there either, but we're going to call that successful, people. So I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to save it because that was a lot of work. So if you've been watching along, I really appreciate your time and hope you have a great rest of your week, wherever you are, whenever you are, and catch me again on my next live stream. Feel free to comment for a chance to be shown on screen here. If you have any questions about game development or what I'm doing or working on a project of your own, I'd be happy to chat about it. And until next time, I hope you have fewer bugs than I do. Thanks for watching.